So, see, it has been an interesting journey, very eventful, very exploratory, very joyful. But again, as I said, यहाँ रुकने का कोई plan नहीं था. So I was here in my first stint for about 2 years or so because I again wanted to be in India. I have written 2 books. Why don't I focus on those? And where clearly I see that this is the place where I can contribute much more.
क्या अगर मैं बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ वो एक हेक्टिक बात है मेरे लिए, या फिर मैं जॉब कर रहा हूँ वो मेरे लिए हेक्टिक है।
When Afghans or Mughals came, India as an economy was major part in the global GDP. See, Britishers did not only came to or went to India.
नमस्कार, जय हिंद। मेरा नाम है रौनक खासपुरिया। स्वागत है आप सभी का खासबुक पॉडकास्ट में। फ्रेंड्स, आज के हमारे स्पेशल गेस्ट हैं मिस्टर मनोज गुप्ता सर। सर इज बेस्ड इन लंदन और आज हमारे पॉडकास्ट को उन्होंने ऑनलाइन ज्वाइन करा है। सर एक वर्सटाइल पर्सनालिटी हैं, डायनामिक पर्सनालिटी हैं, क्योंकि सर बहुत सारे फील्ड के अंदर ऑलरेडी इन्वॉल्व हैं। सर एक राइटर हैं। ही हैज पेन डाउन 2 बुक्स विच इज़ कॉन्शियसप्रेन्योर एंड न्यूयॉर्क टू न्यू यू। सर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के साथ में भी वर्क कर रहे हैं। सर बहुत सारी एमएनसीज के अंदर ऑलरेडी एम्प्लॉय रह चुके हैं। सो आप इंट्रोडक्शन से ही जान गए होंगे कि एक पॉडकास्ट कितना डिटेल जाने वाला है। हम इस पॉडकास्ट के अंदर इंडिविजुअल ग्रोथ के बारे में बात करेंगे, हम बिजनेसेस के बारे में बात करेंगे, हम इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर के बारे में बात करेंगे, हम कंट्री की ग्रोथ के बारे में बात करेंगे। सो प्लीज़ गो एंड वॉच दिस पॉडकास्ट एंड बिफोर स्टार्टिंग दिस पॉडकास्ट प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करिए सो दैट कि ऐसे खास पर्सनालिटी खासबुक पॉडकास्ट पे हम रेगुलरली लाते रहें।
हेलो सर, हाउ आर यू?
I am very good. आप कैसे हैं? How are you doing?
आई एम फाइन सर, एब्सोल्युटली फाइन। थैंक यू सो मच फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सर कि आपने हमें इतना टाइम दिया और यू आर फ्रॉम लंदन और हमें इतना कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं आप। थैंक यू सो मच।
Its pleasure is mine too, Ronak, and thank you for inviting me.
सो सर, आई हैव गॉन थ्रू योर प्रोफाइल जो श्रुति मैम ने मुझे शेयर करा था, और वी वर ट्रैकिंग यू सिंस देन, और वी गॉट टू नो लॉट अबाउट यू। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी वांट टू नो कि जैसे आपने बताया था कि आप लंदन में हैं और नाउ यू आर वर्किंग फ्रॉम देयर। देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन अराइजेस कि व्हाई डू यू लेफ्ट इंडिया, एंड आपने 30 साल का अपना जो करियर था उसको लेफ्ट करा, एंड देन अभी आप गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को भी असिस्ट कर रहे हैं और अभी आप बिजनेसमैन हैं। सो प्लीज़ वो एक प्लीज़ जर्नी को बताइएगा सर।
So, see, it has been an interesting journey, very eventful, very exploratory, very joyful. As far as the journey is concerned, was it by design? Absolutely not. It happened one after another. I came back here in UK back in 90s, mid 90s around or so, and मेरा यहाँ पे रुकने का कहीं कोई ऐसा प्लान नहीं था. आई केम हियर जस्ट फॉर अ प्रोजेक्ट विच वॉज अबाउट 6 months or so, but somewhere it was the conversation decisions between organization and client, which actually both wanted me to stay and I was also liking the place, so I continued. But again, as I said, यहाँ रुकने का कोई plan नहीं था. So I was here in my first stint for about 2 years or so, over 2 years. I went back. I really wanted to be in India. I went back. I was there for about 1.5 years again, Ronak. Then again, a new project came up. I was again asked by the client, hey, can we have Manoj for us? And then the journey began. I came back again. I was here for about or a little over 2 years again, and then went back because I again wanted to be in India. But I was there that time. I was there for about 1.5 years again, and again something came up, and clients were like, "Can we have Manoj?" You know, and when it came third time, I think I had in my mind that perhaps this is the place which is calling, and when you so much relocate. ना आपको पता है सिटीज में रिलोकेशन अपने आप में एक बड़ा काम होता है, बट व्हेन यू आर रिलोकेटिंग बिटवीन कंट्री or countries, we stay at one place. I would continue to travel, and that's where in 2004, when I came third time, we decided that we will stay here. Of course, I traveled almost all around the world because technology or tech industry is an industry where you get opportunity to see, you know, all the continents, all the places around the world. I would say I think I've seen all the major cities around the world. When I say major cities, from the professional capacity, I wouldn't have seen at the moment as a tourist, right? Because it's more likely that you land at the airport, go to have meetings, back to airport or hotel, and so on and so forth. I have done almost all roles, right from a software engineer to managing director and CEO. These are something which any and everyone aspire to be in corporate world. I have written two books. Why don't I focus on those? And where clearly I see that this is the place where I can contribute much more as far as the people are concerned, and much more when it comes to fulfillment for myself. So that's where I hang my boots as far as the full time 24/7 kind of role. I do advise, a few organizations in the capacity of non-exec, in capacity of strategic consultant, and about year and a half back, I received an invitation from Government of India as well to participate and be part of their advisory board member for digital and creative economy, which is Vision 2047. Lot of focus around the higher education and bringing that from employability perspective. So that's what has been my journey, which is absolutely enriching. I would say yes, Rana.
ग्रेट टू हियर यू सर। मतलब काफ़ी वर्सटाइल रहा है और काफ़ी सारे फील्ड्स के अंदर आपने वर्क करा है। ग्रेट टू हियर दैट सर। सर नेक्स्ट आई वांट टू नो कि इफ समवन एंटर इनटू अ बिजनेस, तो बिजनेस के अंदर मैंने नोटिस करा है दैट मीन्स आई एम आल्सो इनटू अ बिजनेस, सो मेंटल हेल्थ का बहुत इशू रहता है उसके। सो व्हाट इज द स्टेट ऑफ, व्हाट शुड बी द स्टेट ऑफ माइंड इन बिजनेस सो दैट कि वो कंटिन्यूसली ग्रो होता रहे?
So this is a question which is which I hear from many young entrepreneurs who do come. So if I put one simple line, you play as you prepare. ठीक है ना? This is the line, and this applies in every field, including the field of business, including the field of entrepreneurship, including the corporate, including sports, including everywhere, because it starts from sports. So it's the game of preparedness. Now, when I talk about preparedness with respect to business, see, when you are working, you have not just the predictability with respect to a paycheck, you also have a daily structure, right? Where you know what time you need to go to work and what time you will have a lunch, what time you will be returning, and after that, it's your family or personal time. Of course, in this electronic gadgets or connected world, there are still, some misnomers which come, right? In addition to that, you have a social identity. But when you move into the enterprising or a business world, right, you actually need preparation as far as the emotional readiness is concerned. When I say emotional readiness, the most important aspect is how your day would look like. In addition to the paycheck and all other things, how would you look your social identity? That am I fine instead of having a title of a senior manager or a director or associate director or a vice president, right? Someone who is a startup founder or a startup entrepreneur, or someone who is a struggling entrepreneur or businessman, right? So that's where the thing comes. So first is, do I have an awareness and acceptance to where I am now, right? The second thing is, when you are in business, you will not have the every time growth. It is, and especially in the initial years, in the initial years you should be ready for whether it is 3 years, 5 years, or 2 years. There is a runway, right? And you should be prepared, again linking back to the preparedness part of it. And during this journey, especially during the journey before the threshold crossing, two a couple of points. One is emotional highs and lows, right? Which is linking to a point with respect to mental health. emotional highs and lows. Second is decision fatigue. You will find that, hey, I'm trying to do everything, but things are moving either very slow or not moving. And that's where the aspect of consistency, the aspect of adaptability, aspect of listening to your customer. Because at the end of the day, you are connecting to various stakeholders and everyone is a customer. When I say, it's not that anyone who pays is a customer. Anyone who is giving you value ideas, anyone who is giving you the critical input, anyone who is criticizing you, anyone who is giving you feedback, they all are, right? And many times the word failure in business is taken somewhere in a tangential way. If you set up your mind saying, hey, actually, failure is a learning fee or a tuition fee for my success going forward. Okay. One, or a failure is actually a feedback. Okay. Or a rejection is actually a redirection. So that's where the mindset starts changing. And other than this, of course, you have to make sure that in your system which you have during the day, you take care of your physical and mental hygiene. You must be moving. You must be moving. You cannot be still, right? आपने देखा होगा, जो ठहरा हुआ पानी होता है उसमें काई भी आ जाती है, पत्ते भी आ जाते हैं, सारी प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. चलता हुआ पानी जो होता है, ठीक है, वो क्लीन रहता है एंड एंड अपना रास्ता बनाता जाता है. So at the end of the day, you have to keep moving, not stopping. That's the another thing which I'll say.
ग्रेट सर, ग्रेट।
Hmm.
सेकंडली आई वांट टू नो कि सबसे ज़्यादा हेक्टिक होता क्या है? क्या अगर मैं बिज़नेस कर रहा हूँ, वो एक हेक्टिक बात है मेरे लिए, या फिर मैं जॉब कर रहा हूँ, वो मेरे लिए हेक्टिक है?
आप हेक्टिक बोल रहे हैं या हैप्पी बोल रहे हैं? मुझे फिर से बताएं एक बार.
हेक्टिक, हेक्टिक।
हेक्टिक.
जी।
See, हाँ समझ गया मैं. Now I get it. See, both of them are very hectic and both of them are very relaxed. Again, it is depending upon the mindset. ठीक है.
ओके।
हम बात करते हैं वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस की. ठीक है. जनरली द वर्ल्ड इज टॉकिंग वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस. आई टॉक लिटिल डिफरेंट. आई टॉक वर्क लाइफ इंटीग्रेशन. I don't talk work life balance. I talk work life integration. The moment you integrate it seamlessly, neither of thing will appear to you hectic. There may be days, Ronak, there may be days where you have personal priority or personal work, which may consume your 80% of time. And on that day, you may be able to give only 20% time to your work, whether it is in the corporate life or whether it is when you are running the business. But there may be other days where you are spending 80% of your day hmm, in working and 20% of time to your family or to your personal priorities. But that is the balance. As long as you have framed your mind that, look, I'm not talking 50-50 over here. It is not an empirical thing, right? It is not something which is binary. Okay, कि ये हो गया. और खासकर in this world which has become very digital, which has become very social media frenzy. आज से 40 years पहले और 30 years पहले, when there was no internet, office was only four boundaries, brick wall, you could have still left your work and come back to home, or you could have left home and gone to office. But now things are very different. It is your work comes to your home and your home goes to all the places. You do not have boundaries. So how you seamlessly integrate defines that. Now, as far as people who are saying very hectic, whether it is in work or whether it is in business, I have been in both the places.
Hmm.
It's all about also the ownership. The moment you take ownership of something in corporate world, look, don't worry about you know what I'm doing every day or every hour. Let's discuss about the outputs or the KPIs which are required to be delivered from me. People give you a lot of space, and that's how I have managed throughout my career. Otherwise, I would have burned, right? Burning out because of the hectic, work culture or hectic schedule is very, very easy. So that's what I would say, that neither of us either hectic or both of them are very hectic, depending upon what your mindset is.
ट्रू सर, वेरी ट्रू। सर, सिंस यू आर देयर इन लंदन, सो आई वांट टू नो कि अगर मैं बैक टाइम में हम जाते हैं और वी कुड इमेजिन दैट कि अगर ब्रिटिशर्स यहाँ पर नहीं आते, अ, तब
Mm-hmm.
जो इकोनॉमी की सिचुएशन है ब्रिटेन के अंदर मीन्स यूके के अंदर और इंडिया के अंदर क्या होती सर?
Well, this is very hypothetical question. देखिए, but let me attempt to answer. Hmm. See, Britishers did not only came to or went to India.
हम्म,
One, they at one point of time Commonwealth countries जो होती थी, they were about 70 plus. ठीक है, where British Raj or British, flag was hoisting around the world. Of course, India was one of the one of the key, territory for them in terms of the power, in terms of positioning, and in terms of wealth. Okay. आ, अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें तो इंडिया वॉज बीइंग इन्वेटेड, अगर आप देखें तो सिंस 11th और 12th centuries, राइट, व्हेन अफगान्स और मुगल्स केम, राइट फ्रॉम डेज ऑफ बाबर, या उससे और बहुत पहले चले जाइए आप, राइट. So there was rules or rulers in India for about 700 years before Britishers came. ठीक है. Of course, if you look India as an economy till about 16 1700s, India as an economy was major part in the global GDP. It was in range of about 20% till then, and it depleted significantly means very very significantly in last 200 years of British rule. But you should not also uh, consider, you must consider that US actually rose in last 200 years. ठीक है ना. US was nowhere there till 17th century. ठीक है. 1786, which is 18th century, US got its independence, and then there was a financial journey which US took after 100 years of that. So the entire spectrum or distribution of world was happening, and in that process, Britishers, you know, during Industrial Revolution also gained a lot. India lost a lot. US started gaining back in early 20th century onwards, and they didn't look back. Japan was another superpower, when you look at the East Asia side of thing. So that's how I would put the equation, and it cannot be an answer which can be so straight, but the economies would have been very different. India possibly would have been in much more flourishing zone, because India was doing very well. But who knows? US was also, coming up at that point of time, and yeah, Britain was ruling the Industrial Revolution, and throughout the world actually. And they led the from 1750s to good 1900s. They were the world leaders, and London used to be the world center when it comes to the decisions, the power, the wealth, any geopolitical conversations, and so on and so forth.
सर अगर हम अब की बात करते हैं, इफ वी कैन कंपेयर द
Hmm.
इकोनॉमी ऑफ बोथ द कंट्रीज, so what is the difference we can see in the economic structure in terms of agriculture, in terms of business, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of manufacturing and services?
It's a very good question. Uh, See, both countries at this point of time, if I see entire world, if you see, normally from the GDP perspective, gets subdivided between agrarian or agriculture, industrial, and services kind of thing. Okay. Agar मैं look, okay, let's look at first the world. If you look the world perspective, the agriculture economy or GDP part of this over 100 trillion, which is the global GDP, is about 4.5% or so. Okay. When you look at the industrial side of things, which includes the manufacturing and various other things linked to high engineering and mining and so on and so forth, that constitute about 27ish, or let's make it 25 to 30% के बीच में. Then major portion of the world GDP is around then services. Services include, all kinds of services, right from financials to technology to education to healthcare and so on and so forth. But services sector is about 65%, then industrial, and then agrarian, okay, or agriculture. Now, if we come down to these two countries, if you look India, the agricultural aspect of GDP is about 15%, right? Now, 15% in comparison to the world, which is about 4.5%, which is a very high number, right? But if you look from the different angle, India, which is world's largest population, right? World's largest population, about 45% of people are involved in agriculture sector, contributing only 15% to the GDP of the country. That is something and a parameter we need to look at. When you look at the manufacturing side of things, India's share in manufacturing is about 15 odd percent or so. And again, services is the biggest, which is over 50%, which includes again the IT services, of course, led by tech and IT. But education is or ed tech is very big, including the entire education sector. Health is very big, financial sector is big, and so on and so forth. So India is largely around agriculture, but agriculture proportion needs to be looked at 45 to 50%, contributing only 15% is something to be looked at. Manufacturing with Make in India, there is a lot of focus in terms of increasing the manufacturing sector and then its contribution to GDP. Services sector, I think, will continue. Now, when you come to UK from the agriculture perspective the agriculture sector contributes only about 1% or so, right? The manufacturing sector contributes about between 10 to 15%, because UK had moved on from traditional mining and manufacturing sector long back, but entire UK as a geography or economy is focusing upon the services, or that too towards the high value services, be it the funding, or a lot of private equities or hedge fund managers are from around the world are here. A lot of focus on consulting, a lot of focus on insurance services, a lot of focus on education, a lot of focus on health. So there is a difference between the two economies, but there is a lot of complementing, aspect, and that's where the FTA came into place. There's this free trade agreement which recently got signed, because there is a lot of complementing as well as collaborating aspect, as you could see when I talked about the education, the health, the tech sectors, and so on and so forth. So this is how I would say how the economies and the distribution across the sectors between the two countries look like, and also looking and comparing with how the global landscape looks like. Yeah.
सर अभी जैसे हमने कंपेयर करा सिर्फ अभी एक कंट्री के साथ में, इंडिया को। इफ़ वी कंपेयर विद द होल वर्ल्ड, और अब क्या हम इंडिया को देख सकते हैं कि क्या वो सुपर पावर बन सकता है? क्योंकि हमारी गवर्नमेंट ट्राई कर रही है एट इट बेस्ट कि हम इन द कमिंग फ्यूचर वी कैन बी द सुपर पावर।
Well, this is a fantastic question. I would say India can become superpower. Yes, but there are a lot of caveats. I would put caveats over here. It's not a straight away yes or no answer. Let's look at the pluses. What are the pluses for India? One thing which is extremely in favor of India is younger population. Okay, the demographics from the world statistical perspective, about 60 plus percent people are below 35. So that's a very big plus in comparison to Europe, in comparison to Japan, in comparison to US, and in other places around the world. The second aspect is India's uh, very strong footprint in technology sector. ठीक है. So digital technology, space tech, UPI, for example, right? So these are another plus points. Second, third, if I look at India military power, India is fourth largest military in the world. Okay, so this is another one. Okay, so these are some of the pluses which India has at this point of time. On top of it, India is the fastest growing GDP at this point of time. About among the major GDPs, it is the fastest growing and to be slated to become number three before 2030. Right? That's the aim which the current government is aspiring for or aiming for, to make 5 trillion economy. Okay. But if you look minuses, okay, so these are the plus side, the minus, the negative side as far as India is concerned. Okay. One is a lot of bureaucracy. Okay. And when I sit from here, I can make outside in view very, very, objectively and critically. So a lot of bureaucracy, because I have been exposed to all international or most of the international governance model around the world. Okay. The second is inequality. Okay. There is a lot of inequality between, the rich and the poor, or in terms of how the people are being dealt or treated. Right. The third one is the infrastructure. The biggest issue of India as a country, because we meet a lot of people, a lot of senior, bureaucrats and so on and so forth. We are not talking the approach in due course, I'm sure, will change. We are not looking of rebuilding, one city or two city or this pocket of this city. Actually, the entire country needs to be rebuilt. So infrastructure, there's a lot of work happening, a lot of work, lot of airports are being built, a lot of roads are being built, but infrastructure we have a long way to go. Okay. So inequality, infrastructure, bureaucracy, and above all is education to employability gap. Our education is far too in a lag indicator. So when you say that does or can India become a superpower, there are all great possibilities, because we have the right manpower, young manpower. Okay. But that needs to be channelized. The bureaucratic aspect needs to go away or reduce significantly. Infrastructure work is going on, that need to continue and even grow with more pace. Now, when you talk about 5 trillion economy and when we talk about the word superpower, let's look above the two. Okay, let's look above the two. The economy which is number one in GDP, that is about 30 trillion US. And number two, which China is about close to 20 trillion, at this point of time. It is somewhere hovering between 19 to 20. Okay. And India, when it becomes number three, it will still be reaching 5 trillion. Okay. So can India become superpower? You can see the data point perspective that there's a long way to go. But India at this point of time is certainly on the path of becoming moral superpower. India is certainly on the path of becoming moral superpower because of its soft power, because of its democratic setup. Biggest democracy around the world, but how seamlessly it works. Means entire world gets like, what a thing. This is something, a huge respect when it comes to democratic setup. India is very, very much looked highly when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to the thinking which is grounded, right? India is also being seen very, very respectably when it comes to sustainability or on those kind of things. India is also being seen very, very respectably when it comes to digital power, innovative power, and youth power. So India certainly is on a path to become a moral superpower. And of course, if we continue to grow with this pace, there is no reason why we shouldn't be getting into a zone which where we call ourselves superpower. But there's a need to invest, serious need to invest in two areas. One is human capital, very clearly, and second is leadership. I think these two things are extremely key for our growth in that journey of becoming superpower.
very beautifully answered, sir. सर नेक्स्ट आई वांट टू नो कि अभी हम जैसे कंट्री की बात कर रहे हैं, सो आपने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के साथ में काम भी किया और कर रहे हैं आप। सो आई वांट टू नो कि एक कंट्री का एक इकोनॉमी कैसे डिज़ाइन होता है, मतलब व्हाट आर द कैलकुलेशन यू डू, और क्या एक प्लानिंग बनती है ताकि हमारी जो इकोनॉमी है वो स्मूथली रन कर सके?
If you look from micro to macro, this will be easy to understand. एक माइक्रो इंस्टीट्यूशन को लें, एक फैमिली को लेते हैं, एक घर को लेते हैं, ठीक है? How does a family run, right? If you or your brother or father is the breadwinner, earning person. You look at how much I am earning, okay? Then accordingly, from your earning perspective, you prepare a budget about your spending, okay na? And around that, you also take care of education of your children, health care of your children, okay? Making sure how you will be conducting yourself socially with people outside the home, outside the immediate social circle, and so on and so forth. Now similar applies when it comes to the country, right? So when I'm earning through taxes, okay? I'm earning through export, okay? I'm earning through so various means and ways. So I'm earning through direct and indirect taxes. So government makes earning. Then comes the spending. Where am I spending with respect to the healthcare, education, justice system, defense system, internal law and order perspective, and so on and so on? Because these all are things which you know government or country has to create a framework. On top of it, there's a fiscal policy which comes into play. What is that? How is my economy moving? If economy is moving fast, okay, the growth is very very good, then and inflation is not high, okay, I would look for easing out the you know uh, various interest rate and those aspects. But if inflation is going high, for example, then I have to increase the interest rate. If economy is moving slow, then I have to inject stimulus in terms of investing into infrastructure and creating jobs from government perspective, so that people start participating into it, and then economy or money starts moving. I will also have to look at from the perspective of uh, reducing the borrowing cost, right? जैसी इकोनॉमी स्लो होती है, नॉर्मली इंटरेस्ट रेट ऑल ऑफ ए सडन कम होने लगते हैं. क्यों? बिकॉज देन पीपल कैन बोरो. when people will borrow more, then they will invest more. ठीक है ना? So this is how the cycle from the fiscal perspective work. And then you see what is the borrowing from outside world, depending upon my expenses or so on and so forth, right? And how do you balance that deficit? So that's another aspect of it. The third aspect of it is you and I you and I are part of that economy, or in terms of the country, right? So you are doing your activities, so you're performing your activities, so you are contributing to that country or economy by working, right? By putting your working hours or labor hours, right? Or thinking hours, right? You are making money, and then accordingly to that wages or money, you are contributing by paying taxes. But you are also doing another thing. You are saving money, and then you are investing money, right? So this all goes into the system. Now, when I was talking a bit before about the world's biggest GDPs, like US is about 30 trillion, then China is about 19 or 20 trillion, and India is about 4 trillion at this point of time. 3.9 is something which figure normally talks about or so. But GDP is one aspect. The other aspect is DDS. What is your gross domestic saving? One is what is it you are spending, but what is your, so that also plays a very very important role in terms of running the country. For what is the government spending, what is the people spending, what is the private sector spending, what, and then what is the saving from all the places. So if you look from US angle, US, which is considered to be the mightiest, but there is a huge fragility there. US as a country, in terms of GDP to debt, has a negative GDS. Okay, their domestic savings is a negative. But if you look China from that perspective, their GDS is hugely positive in terms of about 45% or so. You look India is in zone of about 35, which is a healthy perspective, also 35, 37%. Okay. So China from that perspective is in a very, very strong position. So where I'm going is linking to how you run the country. You have to look various parameters in terms of what is my fiscal policy, what is my trade policy, what is my external affairs policy, and so on and so forth, and how people are contributing into it, and that's how it runs. But you look from the micro and then look at the macro, you'll find an answer which becomes a very similar or beautiful answer.
सर नेक्स्ट अभी मैं दो सिचुएशंस आपको देता हूँ कि हाउ एन इंडिविजुअल contribute itself to the economy of country. Means the one person is buying made in India product. The second one is buying product which are imported from the foreign countries. Let's say कि मैंने या फिर मेरे फ्रेंड ने टेस्ला कार को परचेज करा, और दूसरी तरफ जो मेरा फ्रेंड है उसने हीरो का कोई टू व्हीलर परचेज करा. सो मैक्सिमम कंट्रीब्यूशन किसका जाएगा इकोनॉमी में, इंडिया की इकोनॉमी?
So as a consumer, both of you are contributing to the economy. See, if you are buying Tesla, okay, you are buying Tesla only because the government has, sourced that product in the country. Okay, for you to buy that, अगर आपने वही टेस्ला यूएस से जाके बाय की होती, that would have been a different thing. Okay, but the product is coming within your country. So the moment a foreign product comes in your country, it has already been priced. It has already been priced in the sense there has been a duty which has already been put in: custom duty, excise duty, value added tax, GST, and so on and so forth. And when you are buying that product, you as a consumer are paying far more in comparison to a product of Hero, for example, in this case, which is made in India. But in both the cases, because the money is circulating within Indian economy, okay, both of you. But in case of latter, who is buying a Hero product, for example, or indigenous product, you are additionally you are creating an Indian brand value that may not be directly contributing at this point of time to the economy from PNL perspective, but it certainly is contributing to create a perception and a mindset in your peer group, people who aspire you and see you as a role model. Okay, people who want to become like you and me, for example, they see, hey, if Ronak is buying this, I should also be looking for that. So, immediately you may not have contributed to the economy, right? Or both people have contributed similar, but you have created a brand value of Indian product. ठीक है ना? So that way, I would say it becomes a little more contribution to the country, right? That's what I would say.
So next, I would be I want to listen you on AI. कि अभी AI का बहुत ज़्यादा सुनने में आ रहा है, और अगर हम AI को यूज़ करेंगे तो हम अपनी इकोनॉमी के अंदर और हम अपने करियर के अंदर बहुत अच्छा करेंगे. So how do you look at this, sir? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I do get this question, or this is the conversation which is becoming a very hot topic or debatable topic. ठीक है, कि AI will eat up our jobs, AI will replace people, and will it be AI world where human will be there or not, and so on and so forth. See, AI for that matter is not just a tool; it is a transformation. ठीक है, it is not just a tool; it's a transformation. And it is not the AI which will replace the jobs, or it is not the AI which will replace the humans. It is the humans who are using AI will replace the humans who will not be using the AI. That's how it is. ठीक है. Now, अगर हम इसको थोड़ा सा और फर्दर पील ऑफ करें, अंदर जाएं, ठीक है, तो अगर हम बोलते हैं कि AI will replace, or AI will take away the jobs. Of course, AI will take away the jobs which are repetitive, which are analytical, जैसे customer services के jobs हैं. ठीक है, if the similar answer needs to be given by human being, why can't it be, outsourced, or it can be trained to an AI? If it requires lot of papers to be, or documents to be looked at, analyzed, and then conclusion needs to come. For example, in legal sector, you can clearly put AI into those documents, and then the lawyer can focus on the finer points. Similarly, in case of healthcare, the diagnostics can all be done by AI, and then doctor can focus on taking the decisions. Right? You're getting what I'm saying? So
Yes.
AI will actually make you work smarter rather than work harder. Okay, one point. Second thing is, this is a myth when you say that AI will take away the, yes, repeatable jobs, as I said, will go away, but there are so many new jobs which are coming. And if I talk from the statistics perspective, a statistical data perspective, there was a report, if I remember, I think a year back or so, from World Economic Forum, that by 2025 or so, or in next couple of years or so, AI will take away about 87 million jobs, repeatable jobs, but it will create additional 93 million jobs. तो अब आप बताइए मुझे कि एआई जो कि मिथ चल रहा है, ठीक है, विल इट टेक अवे द जॉब और विच विल ऐड? अब आप इसको दूसरे तरीके से, मैं इसको, आई इन माई लैंग्वेज कॉल इट इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन. ओके, it's not tool, it's transformation, but go further, it's a revolution. AI for me is new electricity actually. अगर आप पीछे जाएं और 1850s में जब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आई थी, ठीक है, what happened was it actually increased your working hours. तो जब वर्किंग आवर्स आपके बढ़ गए अंधेरा होने के बाद भी, इफ यू कैन वर्क, दैट मीन्स योर प्रोडक्टिविटी हैज गॉन अप, राइट? इफ यू आर एबल टू ऑटोमेट योर मशीन्स, हाथ से चलने वाली जो जो मशीनरी है, अगर वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से चलने लगे, दैट मीन्स यू हैव इंक्रीज द एफिशिएंसी. तो योर एफिशिएंसी इज इंक्रीज, योर इफेक्टिवनेस इज इंक्रीज, योर वर्क आवर्स इज इंक्रीज्ड. So what will happen? Productivity is increased. It will add to your GDP. Exactly that is happening with AI. The AI will add, and again I am going back to the statistics, and it's a Goldman Sachs report. If you read it, it clearly says that AI in next few years will add about $7 trillion to the GDP. Okay, which is a significant number. We are talking about 6 to 7% of the global GDP. Okay, now these are some of the data, or these are some of the things one should look at. Are there real threats outside the jobs and repeatable jobs? No, they are, the real threats are different. The real threats are with respect to bias. The real threats are with respect to data privacy. The real threats are with respect to the control. Okay, we really need to work upon the bias. We really need to work upon the ethical aspect of AI, the intentional aspect of AI. That's where I talk about the consciouspreneur. That's where I actually started the consciouspreneur, because as we are moving into the fourth industrial revolution, where social, personal, professional, and spiritual boundaries are getting blurred, and with AI coming into play and a lot of noise, when I say a lot of noise, means continuous information is being coming to your ears and attention span is reducing, right? So it is going to be the game of conscious AI. It is going to be the game of ethical, conscious, intentional AI. And if you become conscious, हमें फोकस जो है एआई के साथ लेके स्पीड पे नहीं करना है. हमें फोकस एआई के साथ लेके फोकस करना है वेलोसिटी पे. दैट इज द डिजाइनिंग इटसेल्फ इज इंटेंशनल. ओके, हमें फोकस करना है सब्सटेंस पे. एंड द वे आई सी इट, you know it is not the era of artificial intelligence. It is going to be the era of human augmented AI, right? So augmented AI and intelligence, where humans will be focusing on something which is more important, or far more important, right? The new jobs, as I said, ethical AI, prompt engineering, HITL, human in the loop, these are the jobs which are not existing. There will be number of jobs will come into play. So the issues or risks which are there, they are with respect to the data privacy, ethics, and so on and so forth. Opportunities are huge. The key aspect is, am I consciously using? Am I intentionally using? Am I intentionally designing? Am I ethically designing? So conscious AI will become far more important in this era, when we talk about the AI. That's how I would say.
ग्रेट सर. सर लास्टली आई वांट टू नो, आपने बुक्स लिखी हैं. सो अभी तक हमने एक टर्म सुना था, एंटरप्रेन्योर. आपने एक नया टर्म बनाया है विच इज़ कॉन्शियसप्रेन्योर, और जिसके अंदर आपने बहुत सारे
Yeah.
एस्पेक्ट को कवर अप करा है, रिलीजन के बारे में, टेक के बारे में, साइंस के बारे में, सो दैट पीपल वुड बिकम रिच बाय माइंड, रिच बाय मनी। सो प्लीज़ हमें इसके बारे में बताइए सर।
See, entrepreneurship, if you look, has always been focusing on business growth and profitability. Okay. When I talk about consciouspreneurship and when I saw this, how the things have been moving, especially when 2011, for the first time, fourth industrial revolution was talked in Germany, in Hanover, and further to that in 2016 in World Economic Forum, it was finally officially announced that we are in fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0. I was clearly seeing a very big white space. The white space is you are not going to survive. Forget about thriving. You're not going to survive in the new world if you're only focusing on profitability and growth. You can only survive if you are connecting purpose along with profitability while deriving and focusing upon business sustainability. And that's where when I said, okay, look, these guys, the entrepreneur, if they think it is going to be a sprint, they will flop. They will, fall flat on their face. If they link or connect the purpose along with profitability, that's where they will have people rallying behind them. See, आज की डेट में जितने भी यंगस्टर्स हैं, जितने भी जॉब एस्पायरेंट्स हैं, ठीक है, they do not work for a company unless and until their purpose, their value system, their sustainability, number of factors come. People say, I want to do hybrid working or I want to do work from home, right? Not because your output will going to be affected, my dear employer. You will get what I output I you are looking from me, but I don't want to waste my time in commuting for 2 hours every day, right? As an example. So that's where, and the moment employer forces, that's a issue. So consciouspreneur is how do you connect purpose and rally people behind? And the way I see is, earlier it used to be vision, mission, values. Now the game is different. Now it is the strategy, purpose, execution. And you have to align the three P's. What are those three P's? You have to first define the purpose, then you have to align people, and then you have to define processes around them. And if you have aligned purpose, people, and processes, you see the ecosystem, it will beautifully run. And that's what is the entire conscious ownership. And when you align that, then you will find there is no disturbance in the mind, there's no anxiety, stress. That's where you become rich with mind. Okay. And money is the byproduct. When the people are aligned and become productive, right, the wealth is bound to flow. So that's where you become rich with money as well, right? And I have combined few things. I've said science, spirituality, and leadership are not separate pillars. They are actually very converged, right? And that's what is about conscious ownership, because science backed by technology creates a beautiful outer world, a material world. Spirituality backed by religion creates a beautiful inner world. And when your inner world and outer world are in symphony or convergence, that's where the leadership, of intentionality, leadership of ethics, leadership of mindfulness, leadership of right consciousness comes into play. And that's what is called conscious ownership.
Uh, Great, sir. Next, sir, the best-selling book which you have written, the other book, न्यू यॉर्क टू न्यू यू, जिसके अंदर आपने बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स को कवर अप
Mhm.
करा है। जैसा कि नेम से ही पता लग रहा है कि आपने सेल्फ हेल्प के बारे में बताया उसके अंदर, हाउ टू सेट गोल्स
Mhm.
और द गोल टुवर्ड्स लाइफ। सो प्लीज़ इसके बारे में भी हमें थोड़ा-सा बताइए सर।
As you rightly said, New York to New You is a transformation journey, where an investment banker from New York, reinvents himself. It is the new avatar. Okay, so that's how the transformation journey goes, and there is a clear framework in terms of he or anyone can follow that ABCD methodology, right? That is awareness, breathing, choices, and discipline. But coming back to a specific point with respect to setting the goals, ठीक है. uh, See, we have heard a lot in our world with so many years that goals needs to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, and so on, a realistic and time bound, and so on and so. I now say that the world has changed. The goals actually needs to be around your four worlds, which is your personal, professional, social, and spiritual. That's the framework of consciouspreneurship. Okay, so in your personal world, you may have priorities with respect to health, habits, okay, growth. In your professional world, you may have priorities with respect to career, impact, self mastery, that I want to learn these skills. In terms of social world, you may have certain focus areas, which is like um, uh, what kind of relationships I want to build, right? What kind of activities I want to do as a part of giving back to society, right? In your spiritual world, you may want to have focus around your value system, purpose of life, inner peace, and so on and so forth. So these are four very different worlds. Now, what was happening earlier? Earlier, because of no technology or no social media or no infringement of a technology into your or different worlds, people were still leading and able to define those smart goals because they were largely focused on the professional world. But अगर आप आज देखें, when I talk about social world and when I say the word focusing on relationship, okay, as a human being one can have good maximum 7 connections. That is how the human mind in terms of neural network has been designed, and that's how the maximum 7 direct reportees are kept across the organization layer, whatever, even at CEO level, okay, to the team leader or project leader or project manager level, okay. So that's how the 1:7 the mapping of the mind is. But while you may have 7 friends, or you may not have even 7 friends, you might have 7,000 followers, okay, or you might have 7 lakh followers. You might have 7 million or 70 lakh followers, which you will take a lot of boasting saying that in social world I have got this many following, but zero friends. You may have a very different scenario when it comes to personal world, okay. You are looking for something, but you are continuously getting ping from your workplace, even after you have arrived home, okay. So so you really need to be smart or specific in designing the goals around your four worlds, and that's the framework which I have created as a part of consciouspreneur. Okay, you have four worlds, which is professional, social, these are your outer world, and you have two other worlds, which is personal and spiritual, these are your inner world, right? So around these four worlds, which constitute your outer and inner world, you need to be specific in defining what are my priorities and what are the areas I would want to let go. Okay. And once you are clear about that, then you have actually set your goals. And once those goals are set, they will not be looking back. Then you will find yourself, cruising seamlessly. And would there be problems coming into it while you're cruising? Of course, there will be, right? It's not about the problems coming, it's all about how you respond to them. ठीक है ना? आप अगर दिल्ली में बैठे हैं या आप लंदन में मैं बैठा हूं, if I'm driving down to Edinburgh, which is about 700 kilometers from here, ट्रैफिक जैम भी आएगा, हो सकता है स्पीड ब्रेकर भी आए, हो सकता है रोड क्लोजर्स भी आ जाएं, हो सकता है अचानक कोई रोड पे एक्सीडेंट हो गया हो तो मुझे रुकना पड़े. बट am I driving correctly in those situations is about responding to the situation. And the way life is also a journey. And once you have designed and defined your priorities appropriately, right, then it's all good. And that's how the goals needs to be defined. And that's where in my first book I defined the framework of ABCD. Okay, and ABCD I call it two aspects. One is anybody can do, provided one wants to do. Anybody can do. Okay? And but A here stands for awareness, B for breathing, C for choices, and D for discipline. And there are particular exercises how you raise your awareness level, how you strengthen your awareness level, how your breathings can be controlled with respect to your sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, right? How choices can be defined and how discipline. So that's how the entire book is. By the way, I think we may, go into a mode where some renaming and some things will come. But yeah, but this is something, uh, the way I would say, the framework to define the goals. Ronak, yeah.
वेरी ब्यूटीफुली आंसर्ड सर। आपने अपनी 2 बुक्स के बारे में बताया और एक पूरा एसेंस आपने दिया है बुक के अंदर कि आपकी जो लॉन्ग जर्नी है और जो भी आपने एक्सपीरियंसेस से सीखा है, वो सब आपने अभी बताया है। और वी हैव ट्राइड टू टच एवरी टॉपिक और आपने हमें बहुत सारा नॉलेज प्रोवाइड करा है। थैंक यू सो मच सर। लास्टली आई वांट टू आस्क हाउ इज़ एक्सपीरियंस विद अस सर, विद खास बुक?
It's been amazing. You guys are doing some wonderful job. I can see so much humility, so much groundedness, and that is the hallmark of success. If you are grounded, if you are humble, the rest will follow. So whatever you are at the moment doing, make sure you consistently follow that, and if you follow that, Ronak, you will be unstoppable. So my experience with you has been absolutely touching, beautiful, joyful.
थैंक यू सो मच सर। आपने इतना टाइम दिया और हमें एनलाइटन करा आपके नॉलेज से। आपने अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताया और हमने ट्राई करा कि जितना भी आपका एक्सपीरियंस है, जो भी आपने अब तक सीखा है, हम उसको फैच आउट कर सकें थ्रू आवर क्वेश्चन। थैंक यू सो मच सर, आपने जॉइन करा, आपने टाइम दिया। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Ronak, for inviting me in this. And I must tell you that how much I enjoyed this conversation, because this is something, I think you were asking some questions which actually made me to think, because the topics and the titles went from my professional journey to UK, India, to my writing journey, and so on and so forth. So I must compliment you to think through and ask those questions. Which
थैंक यू,
made me both to think and to be joyful. Thank you again for
थैंक यू सर,
inviting me.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।